In the heart of a jungle, our inebriated villager stumbles through the dark, dreaming of a bustling city life surrounded by gorgeous women. Suddenly, an eerie sound interrupts his contemplation, the unsettling noise of a shovel meeting dirt. Panic sets in, and our villager, fearing ghosts, lets out a scream that could wake the dead. Speaking of which, tombstones start tumbling like dominoes. Meanwhile, a girl speeds toward the village in a three-wheeler, her driver attempting a cheerful conversation. However, the girl remains silent, uninterested in small talk. At the entrance, a no-entry sign halts the driver, who warns the girl of recent incidents and police presence. The graveyard is now a hub of activity as villagers and police gather. Our drunken storyteller shares his spooky encounter, emphasizing the mysteriously toppled tombstones. The inspector, intrigued, receives a call revealing a missing body from a grave belonging to the Chu family. Suspicions turn to Soren, Chu Shakuran's grandson, who had plans to visit his grandfather's grave. Enter the mysterious girl, introducing herself as Hu, Chu Shakuran's granddaughter. The inspector, surprised by this revelation, cross-checks her identity with an ID proof. Meanwhile, Soren receives a call, instructing him to swing by the police station upon reaching the village. Soren, now in Tatsui village, greets an old friend, but a conversation stirs anger within him. Frustrated, he heads to the police station. Inspector Su breaks the news to Soren about the grave disturbance and introduces him to the unexpected family member, Hu, claiming to be his sister. Shocked, Soren discovers a family secret, and as the inspector tries to verify Hu's lineage, Soren, overwhelmed, storms out of the station, determined to visit his grandfather's grave. Soren, on his way to the village graveyard, stumbles upon the unexpected sight of Hu digging a grave. Intrigued and thinking he's discovered evidence of grave robbery, Soren captures a picture, only to be swiftly knocked out by none other than Hu herself. Waking up with a pounding headache, Soren finds himself in the presence of a slaughtered zombie and Hu proceeds to throw him into an empty grave and begins burying him alive. Confused and desperate, Soren engages in a conversation with Hu, eventually learning that she claims not to be his elder sister and that the identity she presented to Inspector Shu was false. As Hu continues burying Soren, a sudden emergence of zombies interrupts the bizarre scene. Soren, peeking out from the grave, witnesses Hu skillfully dispatching the undead. Convinced he's in a dream, he starts screaming, prompting Hu to call him an idiot before making a quick escape. Meanwhile, on the highway, a man with glasses awaits Hu's arrival. She informs him about the robbed grave of Chu Shakuran and the encounter with Jiangxi during her excavation. The man speculates that practitioners of Xiangxi Ganshi might be behind the zombie chaos. In the midst of their conversation about Soren, a colossal lightning strike near the graveyard catches their attention. Upon reaching the scene, they discover that the zombies have been incinerated to a crisp. The man notices Soren's college ID and promptly creates a fake ID for Hu, urging her to join Soren's college. The next day, Soren is startled to find Hu casually sitting beside him while talking to Inspector Su. Hu greets Soren in a friendly manner, prompting him to jump off the bench in fear. In the midst of a lecture, Soren struggles to concentrate as the girl who recently attempted to kill him, Hu, sits beside him. Overcome with thoughts, Soren eventually gathers the courage to question her presence at the university. Hu, seemingly unfazed, advises him to keep quiet and assures him that if he needs anything, he can approach her after class, leaving Soren shocked at her response. After class, Soren confronts Hu in the schoolyard, expressing his desire to avoid trouble and insisting that he has kept her secret. However, tensions rise as Soren warns her of potential police involvement. Unperturbed, Hu reveals her new college ID to Soren, claiming authority. A heated exchange follows, leading Hu to call Jo-san, who grants her permission to handle Soren however she sees fit. Hu boldly declares Soren as her servant, eliciting fury from him. Soren, threatening police action, is met with a counteroffer from Hu. She challenges him to showcase the power he demonstrated when left alone with zombies, indicating her awareness of his formidable abilities. Soren, recalling his family's history of hiding their kung fu skills, initially attempts to conceal his powers. However, pressured by Hu's relentless attacks, Soren eventually succumbs and unleashes his kung fu prowess, utilizing Tenchai Genshu, a technique passed down from his grandfather. In the background, the narrative unveils the sinister plot involving Shakuran's stolen body, a zombie controller, and a group seeking entry. The in charge of the group reneges on the promise to let the zombie controller join, demanding the capture of Shakuran's grandson, Soren, as a new condition. Despite Soren's best efforts, Hu emerges victorious, having held back during their confrontation. Threatening to expose Soren's secrets, she coerces him into becoming her servant. As a gesture, Hu provides Soren with an old phone for communication. Fearing embarrassment, Soren resorts to hiding in a tree to preserve his modesty. The narrative takes a surprising turn as a seemingly innocent couple captures a photo of the moon, inadvertently including Soren, who is in a compromising position. The photo goes viral on the university's page, exposing Soren to unexpected public attention. The tale weaves together elements of supernatural abilities, family secrets, and the unpredictable consequences of Soren's encounters at Nanfukai University. At the restaurant, Soren is in high spirits as he enjoys the company of Ken, who turns out to be even cuter in person than in pictures. They indulge in good food, and Soren is excited about the evening unfolding just as he had hoped. However, unbeknownst to him, Hoo is on a mission to track him down and interrupt his date. Hoo, armed with a second smartphone to track Soren's location, seeks Jo-san's assistance to drive her towards Soren. Meanwhile, Soren's cell phone is switched off, leaving him unaware of the impending interference. As Soren and Ken continue their enjoyable evening, the tension builds as Hoo gets closer to their location. Hoo, determined to instill some discipline in Soren, is poised to make her entrance. The plot thickens as Soren, enchanted by Ken's charm, finds himself in an unexpected turn of events. Intrigued by her mysterious demeanor, Soren questions Ken about not having seen her at the college before. Ken smoothly deflects. She begins to impress Soren with her words, revealing that she has been curious about him for a while, having passed by him at school, and he has been on her mind ever since.
Stop the cap!
As the evening progresses, Ken invites Soren to her apartment. Once inside, Soren, feeling a bit stiff, becomes even more nervous. However, Ken's intentions take a dark turn. Attempting to kiss Soren, she slyly plants a bug behind his head. Suddenly, Soren feels a sharp pain between his legs. Ken's true nature is unveiled as she discloses her involvement in the grave robbery and zombie attacks. She refers to her minions as zombies. Soren, realizing the danger he's in, understands that Ken is the mastermind behind the recent chaos. Meanwhile, Hoo is on her way to Soren, unaware of the imminent threat. Ken, reveling in her deception, mocks Soren's virginity and reveals that she has planted a bug inside his head, set to activate at any moment. Soren attempts to use his kinku, but the bug prevents its activation. A zombie, under Ken's control, delivers a powerful punch, knocking Soren out. Hoo and Jo-san discover that Soren has been kidnapped by their adversaries, the Zensei sorcerers. Soren finds himself offered to the Zensei group, and Ken is formally accepted into their ranks. Meanwhile, Soren is subjected to unsettling experiences at the hands of Ayato's older sister.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
He realizes that the seal on his abilities is no longer effective, leading him to contemplate whether the lady genuinely harbors affection for him. However, his thoughts are interrupted by Ryu, who warns Soren to keep his distance until the desired information is extracted from him. Ryu, introducing himself, possesses the ability to make direct inquiries into people's souls. He employs a spell to manipulate Soren's memories, causing him intense pain. The scene takes a sudden turn when a rock, propelled at bullet-like speed, disrupts Ryu's spell. Hoo and Jo-san have arrived on the scene, assessing the situation. Jo-san recognizes the Zensei group's members, including the rookie Ryu and Natsuka, realizing that the impending battle will be far from easy. In a dramatic showdown, Soren pleads for help from Hoo, apologizing for not answering her call. Jo-san observes Soren's behavior with confusion, questioning what Hoo might have done to make Soren refer to her as his master. The confrontation intensifies as Jo-san and Hoo face off against Natsuka, Ryu, and the enigmatic Xiangxi Ganchi, Ken. Natsuka, a formidable opponent, engages Jo-san in a verbal exchange, adding an additional layer of complexity to the already charged atmosphere. Ryu assesses the situation, checking for potential reinforcements, while Ken, unaware of Hoo's prowess, mocks her for intervening in the graveyard incident. The narrative takes unexpected turns as negotiations unfold, battles erupt, and secrets are revealed. Jo-san's attempt to strike a deal is met with disdain from Natsuka, leading to a clash of powers between them. Hoo joins the fray, demonstrating her skills with knives, but Natsuka proves to be a challenging adversary. As the confrontation reaches its peak, Soren, initially bewildered, witnesses the complexities of the magical world he's been thrust into. Ultimately, Hoo's intervention saves Soren from his precarious situation. However, the consequences of their actions and the brewing conflict set the stage for further developments in the intricate plot. Jo-san, the head of the express delivery agency, reveals to Soren that there are two types of outsiders, those who inherit their power and those who acquire it. While Jo-san inherited his powers, Soren is puzzled as he has never sensed any inherited Kai within himself. The confusion deepens as Jo-san shares the history of outsiders, detailing the existence of Zensei, a group with motives shrouded in mystery. Jo-san's agency, Express Delivery, deals with incidents caused by outsiders, attempting to maintain order and address the consequences of their actions. In a surprising twist, Ken, held captive in the agency's cells, is revealed to be the heir of the Ryu clan, forced to learn the Jiangxi art and trapped in her house until the age of 15. Ken's traumatic past unfolds as she explains her desire to make the Jiangxi art disappear from the world. As Ken faces brutal interrogation methods from Jo-yeon, Soren intervenes, activating his Kinku powers to protect her. Tensions rise as Soren, Jo-san, Jo-yeon, and Hoo engage in a quarrel about Ken's fate. Ken discloses her mission from Zensei to find the legacy of Chu Shakurin, a dozen Zensei warriors defeated by Soren's grandfather, the outsider who wielded the Kid Agent style. Jo-san grapples with the decision regarding Ken's fate, while Jo-yeon taunts Soren for his perceived weakness. Hoo warns Soren about the persistent threats he'll face due to being the heir of the Kid Agent style. Despite initial reluctance, Soren agrees to join the express delivery agency after a forceful persuasion from Hoo and Jo-yeon. Jo-yeon becomes the supervisor for Hoo and Soren within the agency. However, the narrative takes another unexpected turn as Soren is once again kidnapped. This time by a different group of outsiders, adding a new layer of suspense and complexity to the unfolding story. As alliances shift, secrets unravel, and Soren navigates the challenges of his newfound abilities. The intricate plot continues to captivate with its twists and turns, leaving readers eagerly anticipating the next chapter in Soren's magical journey. So, our poor protagonist Soren finds himself in a kidnapping situation, and it turns out these two girls aren't your typical villains. They just want Soren to have a cozy chat with their chairman. Talk about an unconventional approach to social invitations. But hold on, here comes an outsider from another group, probably thinking he's collecting trading cards of kidnapped anime characters. Jo-san and Hoo decide to play the ultimate card, Soren being the heir of the exclusive Kid Agent style. The outsider who initially kidnapped Soren starts protesting like he's in a picket line. But her comrade wisely mutes her because, surprise, the new outsider is no ordinary outsider. Soren, caught in the middle of this chaos, is both confused and angry. All he wants is to go home, binge watch his favorite anime, and maybe catch a nap. But no, Destiny has other plans. In a plot twist that even Soren didn't see coming, he activates his Kinkajou, and lo and behold, the two outsiders' subordinates follow suit. Meanwhile, Jo-yeon, the resident researcher, discovers that Soren's Kinkajou is not from the anticipated Kid Agent style, but the elusive Tenchifu style. Suddenly, Soren becomes the hottest commodity in the outsider market. Hoo, having a beauty sleep interrupted by an unwelcome guest, decides to go back to Dreamland. Meanwhile, Soren, in an epic struggle against two outsiders, discovers that Regioku and his gang have spilled the beans on Soren's secret moves. To add insult to injury, Soren charges towards Regioku only to get knocked down with a single hit. But Soren, determined as ever, stands up for round 2, ready to unleash a storm of kicks and punches. Regioku's subordinates play the role of the concerned referees, begging Soren to reconsider. In the background, Jo-yeon scratches his head, questioning Soren's connection to Tenchifu. After all, there's no record of an outsider named Shakurin. In the midst of Regioku's relentless mocking and crushing display of Kinkajou power, Soren is left battered and underestimated. But just when it seems like all hope is lost, Soren pulls out the ultimate trump card, the forbidden technique passed down by his grandfather. As Soren awakens from what felt like a defeat, he can't help but unleash a torrent of complaints about the limitations placed on him since childhood. Enter the unexpected hero, Hoo, appearing behind Soren like a mystical motivational coach. With calm words, she cheers him up, charging Soren with newfound determination. However, Soren's attempt at acting cool around Hoo doesn't go unnoticed, and she promptly slaps some humility back into him. Soren, being Soren, apologizes, realizing that maybe playing it cool wasn't the best move. Just as the trio is about to have their moment, Fusin makes a fashionable entrance, joining the chaotic scene. Soren, now charged with a mix of emotions and a desire to prove himself, begins to charge his attack, leaving Regioku utterly confused. This is the moment Soren decides to unveil a technique he's never used against a human, a move his grandfather strictly forbade. As Soren initiates Reihu, he becomes a blur of speed, making even the most attentive eyes struggle to track his movements. Regioku's subordinates, who were so sure of their advantage with Kinkajou, are left in shock. Reihu, unlike Kinkajou, is a technique that can't be stolen. Soren attacks Regioku, who, in a surprising twist, counters with the same technique infused with ominous black Kai. Just when it seems like a clash of titans, Hoo leaps into action, nullifying Regioku's Reihu with a single swing of her blade. Regioku, now humbled, apologizes to Soren for underestimating him and extends an unexpected invitation. He invites Soren to participate in the Reiten Teishu at Ryukasen, where the next successor of Tenchi will be chosen. With Josen's provided address, Hoo whisks Soren away to a remote villa rented by the express delivery agency. It's a training ground, and Soren is about to embark on a month-long boot camp with the mysterious and slightly quirky Hoo. Hoo, ever the wise mentor, encourages Soren to participate in the upcoming Tenchi event, dropping hints about discovering more about his grandfather. But before Soren can dive into the secrets of the universe, Hoo decides to give him a power-up. No, not the Dragon Ball kind, more like a headachy, unconscious kind. Soren awakens feeling the flow of Kai leaving his body, only to be revived by Haohu's unconventional method, a bucket of water. Haohu casually mentions that she transferred her technique, Nufuku, to Soren's brain, leaving him with the task of mastering it. Standard mentor-student relationship, right. While Soren meditates to harness his Kai, he couldn't resist asking about the name of Haohu's technique. As she undresses for a shower, she casually drops the name Nufuku, leaving Soren puzzled and slightly amused. However, Soren's attempts at focus are hampered by a certain distraction in the form of Haohu bathing. As Soren struggles to concentrate, Haohu, being the insightful mentor, decides to tackle the issue at its roots. She takes it upon herself to help Soren overcome his distraction by hiring two middle-aged women.
It should have been me!
Unfortunately, Soren's reaction is far from what she anticipated, resulting in a comedic exit for the hired help. Fed up with the entire situation and feeling a bit like a character in a bizarre soap opera, Soren contemplates leaving the villa. He expresses his frustration, revealing the toll this servant and master game has taken on him. Soren, however, is in for a surprise when Haohu issues a threat, reminding him of the consequences of taking another step forward. Caught between losing his dignity and facing the unknown consequences, Soren chooses the former. Haohu, in a fit of frustration, damages the villa, pleading with Soren to come back. But Soren, determined to escape the chaos, heads back to his dome. On his way, he encounters Fusin from Tenjikai, who reveals that her father wants to meet Soren. Little does Soren know, Tenjikai is more than just a meeting place, it's the renowned Tenj group, led by Fu Chanhao himself. Soren is offered a chance to join Tenjikai, setting the stage for a whole new chapter in his adventure. Meanwhile, back at the villa, Haohu is left bewildered and regretful. Jo-san and Jo-yan arrive, and in an attempt to salvage the situation, they decide to transform Haohu into a cute schoolgirl who can't possibly be ignored. Ken, the part-time helper, joins the makeover mission, bringing in a modern touch to Haohu's appearance. As Chanhao entertains Soren and discusses family histories, the true intent of the Outsiders is revealed. The Outsiders are vying for the unique powers possessed by 8 specific individuals, and among them is the legendary Kid Agent style that Soren's grandfather wielded. Chanhao drops another bombshell. There's a power called the channeling technique, a legacy of Fu Tenyu, Chanhao's grandfather. It's a world of mysterious powers, family legacies, and unexpected alliances, and Soren finds himself at the center of it all. In the realm of successors and secret arts, Soren and Chanhao find themselves sharing a unique legacy. As Soren delves into meditation to amplify his Kai, the tranquility of his room is disrupted by the unexpected entrance of Scene and a woman named Nana. Meanwhile, Haohu makes her bold entry into the Tenj building, determined to find Soren no matter what. Haohu's direct approach at the reception, labeling the receptionist as an old lady, leads to an escalation. Security is summoned, but Haohu, displaying her formidable skills, swiftly deals with them, leaving a trail of dislocated arms in her wake. Meanwhile, Soren finds himself enjoying the expertise of Nana, a nerve-mandling outsider. Amidst the massage, Scene grapples with her father's decision to choose Soren. Chanhao, in a heart-to-heart with Scene, reveals the unique inheritance Scene holds as the only one among his children capable of wielding the Fu family's channeling technique. Scene, coming to terms with her destiny, asks Nana to grant them privacy. As Soren contemplates joining Tenjikai, his thoughts are clouded with regret for leaving Haohu behind. Back on the hunt for Soren, Haohu's relentless pursuit leads her to face the top 4 outsiders of Tenj group. In a whirlwind of combat, Haohu showcases her prowess, taking down 3 of them, while the 4th analyzes her every move. Meanwhile, Scene takes a more unconventional approach to express her feelings for Soren. Stripping down and advancing towards Soren, she deliberately falls in love with him, causing Soren's seal to have no effect. Despite Soren's reluctance to marry Scene, he expresses a desire for a relationship. This revelation prompts Scene to knock him out cold. As Soren grapples with unconsciousness, Scene continues her assault. Soren, utilizing his Kinkoku, defends himself against Scene's relentless punches. Soren launches into a powerful attack, but Scene effortlessly dodges, utilizing teleportation to disappear from his sight. Back in the arena with Haohu, the battle intensifies as Chanhao considers stepping in. However, Jonggu steps forward, requesting the honor to face Haohu himself. In the midst of the escalating chaos, Jonggu charges towards Haohu, only to be taken aback by the unexpected strength of the seemingly delicate girl before him. The 4 top-class outsiders of Tenj group are drawn to the unfolding battle between Jonggu and Haohu. Facing each other, Jonggu and Haohu engage in a fierce clash, with Haohu skillfully defending against Jonggu's blows. However, Jonggu seizes an opportunity when Haohu loses balance due to her high heels, landing a powerful blow that leaves her body numb. Haohu, ever resourceful, smashes her head on the ground to regain focus. As Jonggu continues his assault, using controlled sharp weapons as an arms master, Haohu manages to dislocate her shoulder, escaping before the final blows can connect. Taking the fight more seriously, Haohu removes her high heels, revealing a new level of determination. Meanwhile, Soren has taken on the challenge of Scene, deflecting her attacks with surprising skill, exhausting her Kai in the process. Soren pauses to name his technique, the Little White Bug, developed during his learning of Reihu. Before leaving, Soren questions Scene's true feelings, only to discover that her earlier affection was a deliberate act for her father's sake. Back in the room where Jonggu and Haohu are clashing, the president of Tenj enters, disrupting the fight. Jonggu, desperate to salvage his reputation, requests Haohu to ask politely to stop the fight. Haohu, unimpressed, complies but not without expressing her boredom. In a sneak attack, Jonggu tries to catch Haohu off guard, but she dodges in midair, countering with a fierce attack using her high heels. Soren, having fallen to a lower floor after Scene's powerful punch, encounters Haohu, who shocks him by offering an apology. However, Soren's initial decision to decline is swayed when he catches a glimpse of Haohu from the front. Soren takes a moment to ponder and eventually asks Haohu to stand still while he talks to the president of Tenj. The president, aiming to test Soren's confidence in his decision, unleashes his secret art of channeling. Suddenly, Jonggu, still reeling from his earlier defeat, stands up and threatens Haohu. In response, Haohu remains calm and focused, ready to face whatever challenges come her way. The turn of events takes a dark and unexpected twist, leaving Soren in a state of shock and confusion. As Haohu starts bleeding and collapses, Soren rushes to catch her, attempting to stop the blood but failing in his efforts. The president, enraged by Jonggu's unwarranted attack on Haohu, takes matters into his own hands and chokes Jonggu to death. Despite the president's attempt to heal Haohu, the wounds prove too severe. Desperate, he calls his son, Shinto, a skilled doctor with the soul of the 9th best in the world. Shinto examines Jonggu's weapons and discovers that Haohu's vital organs are irreparably damaged. Jo-san and Jo-yeon arrive at the scene and decide to take Haohu back to their agency without completing her treatment. Soren, overcome with anger, confronts Jo-yeon, accusing him of stopping Haohu's treatment. Jo-san tries to calm Soren, urging him to listen to Haohu's Kai. To everyone's surprise, Haohu has already healed and is resting. Jo-san and Jo-yeon reveal that they want Soren to join the express delivery agency at any cost, recognizing his connection with Tenshifu. The agency is ready to support Soren in becoming the next Tenshi. When Soren blames Jo-san for using Haohu, the truth comes to light. Haohu has no memory of her past or origin, and the agency is helping her uncover it in exchange for her services. Meanwhile, Natsuka is plotting to have Ko-Rin's son become the next Tenshi, and Zensei is taking refuge in Ko-Rin's mansion. Roryu, with his own sinister plans, successfully extracts Shakurin's memories while Natsuka contemplates Soren's fortunate fate. Jo-san and Jo-yeon, back at the villa, ask Soren to continue his classes while they take care of Haohu. Just as they discuss Soren and Haohu, Haohu suddenly wakes up and recounts the events of the other day. Soren, on his way, takes a different route, aware that Roryu is following him. Roryu introduces himself to Soren and reveals the memories of his grandfather's last moments. As Ryu departs, Soren rushes back to the villa, grappling with the possibility that he might have been deceived by Jo-san and Jo-yeon. In his grandfather's memories, Soren sees Haohu and his suspicion grows. Just as Soren arrives at the hospital, Jo-san and Jo-yeon are present, and Jo-san's father, Jo-shu, recently awakened from a coma, expresses a desire to see his sons and Soren. Haohu is questioned by Soren about his grandfather's death, and with a heavy revelation, Haohu confirms that she was indeed the one who killed Soren's grandfather. The shocking truth leaves Soren in a state of disbelief. The revelation unfolds, leaving Soren in a state of disbelief and shock. As Soren activates his kinkaju in response to Haohu's admission, Jo-san attempts to calm him down. However, the unexpected intervenes as their father, Jo-shu, who had recently awakened from a coma, steps in to reveal the long-buried secrets. Jo-shu begins recounting a tale that stretches back more than 70 years to 1944. In that time, Haohu, known as Amu, woke up inside a cave with no memories. Two boys attempted to take advantage of her, but Jo-shu's father intervened, rescuing her and bringing her back to their house. At that time, Jo-shu was only 9 years old, and Haohu started living with him. Amu, as she was called due to her silent nature, never spoke, leading everyone to refer to her as Amu. When Jo-shu's mother inquired about Amu's past, her head began to ache, marking the first occurrence of her using Kai. The medic, upon discovering that Amu was an outsider, advised them to conceal her true identity. Every attempt by Amu to remember her past resulted in excruciating headaches. Amu became Jo-shu's Kai mentor, teaching him the principles of governing his Kai. Jo-shu's mother taught Amu the shoulder pull song. 5 years after Amu joined their family, in 1949, the mother decided to search for Amu's family. If they couldn't find them, she wanted to formally adopt Amu. One night, after the harvest, Jo-shu's mother comforted Amu as her head ached. It was during this time that the bandits attacked the village. In an attempt to save Amu, Joshu's father was killed. Witnessing the mother cry, Amu, in a fit of rage, asked what she needed to do to make her smile again. The enraged mother demanded Amu to kill every bandit, and in a brutal display, Amu slaughtered each one. This event marked the first time Joshu witnessed the soul channeling. The villagers, terrified of Amu, asked her to leave. Joshu's mother, in an act of betrayal, left the village without informing Amu. The mother, unable to trust Amu any longer, left her behind, instructing her to wait until she returned. This heartbreaking revelation unveils the complexity of Amu's past, Joshu's family history, and the enduring connection between them all. In the heart of the forest, Haohu embraced the wildlife, battling creatures for bamboo shoots. Meanwhile, Amu embarked on a journey to reunite with her family. Fast forward to 1993, and Joshu, now 58, is approached by Chu with an offer to manage the outsider world in his new company. Chu introduces Joshu to the peculiar world beyond by showcasing photos of outsiders caught for minor crimes. Amidst the snapshots, Joshu stumbles upon one featuring Haohu, who got nabbed for snatching street food. However, her escape from the cell was nothing short of a spectacle. Enticed by the black market, outsiders sought to sell Haohu, chaining her in a cell. But fate took a twist when Dehai, a friend of Tiger, intervened. Outraged by her beaten state, Dehai confronted the man responsible, earning the sympathy of Tiger. The man disclosed that Haohu had given his goons a tough time, leading to Tiger's decision to spend time with her. Haohu's fate takes another turn when Tiger brings her to Joshu, leading to an emotional reunion. Amu, witnessing Haohu's condition, seeks revenge on her behalf. Tiger, fueled by justice, buries the assailant alive. From there, Haohu, with Joshu in the express delivery, starts unraveling her mysterious past. Joshu discovers Haohu's connection to the Kushan War, leading to a revelation of a meeting between outsider style's key figures. The meeting turns gruesome as Shakuran Chu eliminates Yoretsu of the Shisentoman style. Shakuran reveals his connection to Haohu and directs her towards discovering her past. The old man, catalyst of the Kushan War, reveals secrets to Haohu before asking her to end his life. This marks a turning point as Haohu becomes the guardian of Chu Soren, the old man's grandson. Joshu's revelation about Soren's grandfather, Chu Kaigi, sparks a journey for truth. Joshu's apology to Haohu is met with her soothing song. Soren, determined to uncover the truth, decides to participate in the Reiten Teishu, setting the stage for a new chapter in their intertwined destinies. In the vast digital realm, Soren diligently scours the internet for any trace of Reiten Teishu but comes up empty-handed. Jo-san and Jo-yeon, puzzled by Tenchi's decision to invite Soren despite countless other means to capture him, exchange confused glances. Jo-yeon suspects that Tenchi might not have acted independently and speculates on the possible involvement of the 10 elders in this intriguing invitation. After all, the 10 elders seem to be going to great lengths for just one person, Soren. Meanwhile, on distant mountains, Tenchi and Ryukyukin, who appears to be one of the 10 elders, stroll together. They engage in a conversation about the objections raised by other elders against Soren's participation in Reiten Teishu. The elders have coerced their apprentices to object to Soren, employing any means necessary to prevent him from becoming the next Tenchi. Tenchi, with calm composure, informs Ryukyukin that there's little he can do about the elders, trusting in fate to decide Soren's destiny. When Ryukyukin questions Tenchi's choice of Soren as a successor, Tenchi cryptically replies that he cannot disclose his reasons. As they approach the assembly of elders under an open roof, Ryukyukin astounds everyone by unleashing his formidable secret technique, Tsuyu Tenraku. The roof is blown away, leaving the elders in shock as they realize that Ryukyukin possesses one of the 8 powers that sparked the Kushan War. Undeterred, Ryukyukin proposes an unconventional reward for winning Reiten Teishu, the offering of his Tsuyu Tenraku to the victor. Amidst the murmurs of dissent, one elder mocks Ryukyukin for benefiting more from the war. However, Ryukyukin silences them with a response that leaves the elders speechless. It seems the stakes for Reiten Teishu are higher than anyone anticipated. In the intense training session with Hu, Soren puts in great effort to enhance his attacks and speed. Despite his considerable improvement, he still falls short against Hu's skill. After the battle, Soren questions Hu about the authenticity of the Raunaku technique she taught him as part of the Kidagen style. Surprisingly, Hu reveals that even she is uncertain because Soren's grandfather passed away right after teaching her the technique. She never had the opportunity to confirm whether it truly belongs to the Kidagen style. Moreover, Hu admits she hasn't mastered Raunaku herself, as she was tasked by Soren's grandfather to pass it down to him. Frustrated by his inability to surpass Hu, Soren expresses his desire for her to teach him some other techniques she has learned. In response, Hu demonstrates the 48 ultimate techniques of the Monzetsu fists, taught to her by Jo-yeon. This revelation prompts Soren to contact Jo-san immediately, informing him about Jo-yeon's unconventional teachings to Hu. Infuriated, Jo-san punches Jo-yeon upon learning about this unexpected turn of events. Amidst the chaos, Jo-yeon receives a call revealing the murder of a Shinshu headmaster and his 2 apprentices. Jo-san suspects the involvement of Zensei, the only organization capable of such swift and deadly actions. As he contemplates Zensei's motives, the plot thickens. Meanwhile, Natsuka engage in a conversation with their leader, Koketsu. The atmosphere becomes tense when Koketsu confesses to killing 3 Shinshu outsiders and makes a desperate plea to Netsuke for the ultimate Tsuyutenroku technique. Natsuka, feigning anger, warns him of the consequences if their actions are discovered. The situation takes a dark turn as Koketsu's father intervenes, leading to a heated quarrel between father and son. In the midst of the chaos, the lust spell on Natsuka is broken, and the old man threatens her. Suddenly, the arrival of the Kune of Reinhu, emitting an aura that triggers the evil within people, changes the course of events. Koketsu, driven by the dark influence, kills his father and is subsequently controlled by another sorcerer. Back in Soren's world, as he continues training his Kai, the Kai planted in him by Hu undergoes a spontaneous change. Jo-yeon instructs Soren to prepare for their journey to Reiten Teishu, revealing that Hu will participate to clear the path for Soren. Meanwhile, other elders attempt to persuade their students to take part in Reiten Teishu, adding further intrigue to the unfolding events. The anticipation for the upcoming competition grows, with hidden motives and unexpected alliances shaping the narrative. Amidst the grandeur of Ryukasen, the sacred mountain renowned for training countless hermits, Soren and his companions have arrived for the scheduled Reiten Teishu. However, the modern markets surrounding the mountain take Soren by surprise, as he had not envisioned such urbanization in this sacred space. The government has imposed an entry fee to manage the vast land, and Soren learns about it from Uya of the Budu sect, who cheekily mentions that their Budausen's fees are even more exorbitant. As they explore the town, Jo-san intervenes to prevent Hu from purchasing fake ornaments and spiritual items peddled by a thug monk. Uya, curious about Soren's motive for participating in Reiten Teishu, is told that he seeks to meet Tenchi to uncover his grandfather's mysterious past. Intrigued, Uya leads Soren through the bustling crowd to where Tenchi is posing for journalists. Tenchi, recognizing Soren, instructs him to address him as master. In a private conversation, Tenchi reveals that Soren's grandfather's true name was Chu Kaigi, and Chu Shakurin was a false name used for protection. Despite Soren's plea to avoid the upcoming tournament, Tenchi insists that the truth is closely tied to the succession system. Outside Tenchi's dwelling, Jo-yeon, Jo-san, and Hu patiently await the outcome of this crucial conversation. The narrative then shifts to the tournament grounds, where participants cross a single rope bridge to reach Soren's location. While others effortlessly traverse the rope, Soren hangs precariously. A distraction causes Hu to lose her balance, but she is saved by Jo Sarian from Sensei Shu, who has a personal vendetta against her due to her association with Jo Jonggu, his brother. Jo-yeon, Jo-san, and Soren safely reach the other side. Shinton and Scene greet them, revealing their participation in the tournament. Shinton explains that they are doing it for their father, not personal gain. Shinton introduces Soren to various outsiders, displaying their unique abilities and natures. He also reveals upcoming formidable opponents, Chu Ryujioku and Shikatsu. As Soren prepares for the challenges ahead, a confrontation with a portly outsider ensues, ending with Hu's declaration that she's in the tournament to clear Soren's path to becoming Tenchi. The tournament kicks off with Tenchi addressing the fighters. Chu Shinchu, another elder and comrade of Chu Kaigi and Tenchi, observes Soren, noting the differences between him and his grandfather. The selection process is carried out with participants drawing zodiac signs that determine their matchups. Hu wins her first match effortlessly, and Chu Ryujioku triumphs in the second. Soren contemplates his upcoming opponents as his own match begins. To everyone's surprise, he enters the arena wearing a mask, exuding an intimidating aura that hints at the seriousness of his intent. In the arena, Soren makes a dramatic entry, casting an ominous shadow over his opponents as the sky darkens. He employs psychological warfare, boasting about the prowess of his Kid Agent style, and ridiculing the opponents for teaming up against him. Soren taunts them, claiming that even together, they are unworthy challengers for the mighty Kid Agent style, reserving such honor for the formidable 10 elders. As tension rises, one opponent decides to take on Soren alone, but he remains unfazed, continuing his bluff and challenging the opponent to prove his strength. The verbal exchange escalates, leading to a quarrel among the opponents. When a victor emerges and challenges Soren, he unexpectedly asks the challenger to meditate and calm his emotions before the fight. The opponent falls for this ruse, praising Soren and expressing pride in facing such a remarkable warrior. However, Soren seizes the opportunity, blindsiding the challenger with a robe and swiftly defeating him. The crowd reacts with disapproval, branding Soren a shameless warrior. Despite the criticism, he justifies his actions, citing the necessity of using such tactics against 3 opponents ganging up on him. Jo-yeon, amused by Soren's unconventional victory, invites him to witness the match of Shikatsu-sei, an expert in the secretive Kim-on-tanku style. Jo-san, too, expresses personal interest in Shikatsu-sei, as the Kim-on-tanku style has been a closely guarded secret within the Shikatsu family for generations. As the tournament progresses, skilled warriors with diverse techniques showcase their prowess. Shikatsu-sei, in particular, stands out with his ability to predict opponents' movements. Hu enlightens Soren about the technique, explaining that it seeks openings in Tendu, the rules of combat through space and time. Sei's calculations during the fight allow him to predict and counter his opponent's attacks. Jo-san speculates that Sei must be utilizing some secret technique from the Shikatsu family. Meanwhile, the portly outsider, the Fatty, has created a website displaying the odds of an outsider winning in the tournament. Jo-seon multitasks, talking on the phone while effortlessly dispatching opponents in the arena. The trio initially fights among themselves, but witnessing Jo-seon's potential, they team up to challenge him. Jo-seon, an expert in arm techniques, skillfully defeats all 3 opponents, showcasing his dominance in the tournament. The multifaceted battles in the Reiten Teishu unfold with surprises, strategies, and the revelation of unique martial arts techniques. As the first round of the preliminaries concludes, 32 candidates remain in the Reiten Teishu, ready to face off in one-on-one matchups. Soren learns that his next opponent is Zen Shidu, known as Ayakami, who defeated his previous opponent in less than a minute. Shinton warns Soren about Zen's formidable skills, specifically mentioning the Zen family's Furoku secret art, which suppresses a person's Kai vessels. During Chu Ryujioku's orders to show the competitors the inn, Soren attempts to engage him in conversation, but Chu Ryujioku ignores him with an angry expression. Seeking answers, Soren approaches Chu Ryujioku's subordinates at night, inquiring about the reason for the hostility. One of the subordinates is also puzzled by Chu Ryujioku's behavior, but the other reveals the underlying jealousy. Chu Ryujioku envies Soren, not for receiving special treatment from Tenchi, but due to the nature of Soren's Reihu. Chu Ryujioku's Reihu, named Ingari, is black and considered a different form developed by the elders to pass it down through generations. In contrast, Soren's Reihu, known as Yaogurai, is in its legitimate form. The revelation sheds light on the deeper reasons behind Chu Ryujioku's animosity. In the midst of this revelation, Hu enters Soren's room at the inn and urgently asks him to follow her. She discloses her plan to bury Zen Shidu up to his neck to avoid killing him and intends to take care of him by feeding him. Soren, curious about Hu's actions, unties Zen, trying to calm him and suggesting a plan. The second round begins with 4 simultaneous matches monitored on a huge screen. Seen and Kamu both secure victories in their respective matches. Seen dominates his opponent, while Kamu surrenders because of his vow never to strike a woman. Rikurin, the granddaughter of Elder Ryukyukin, wins her match and gains popularity among the audience. Uya faces Tetsu, initially playing softly but later suppressing Tetsu's exploding Kai with brute force, merging Tai Kai's yin and yang to secure victory. In the fourth match, Rei emerges triumphant. Meanwhile, Hu engages in a match against Niken. Before the official start, Hu launches an attack, and Niken retaliates. However, Niken's attacks prove powerless against Hu. Observing the color of Hu's Kai, Niken surrenders, recognizing the transparent Kai as a sign that the beholder's soul has been destroyed in the cruelest way. Hu's ability to maintain both her body and mind intact while cleansing the soul sets her apart, showcasing a level of talent and capability that surpasses even the most skilled humans. In the third round of matches, the crowd is eager to witness the battles unfold. The first match features Yajo Sarian against Mare, setting the stage for an intense confrontation. Simultaneously, 2 Bunryu faces off against Chuketsu in the second match, while the third match involves 2 Yudufuku competing against Ruu. The anticipation peaks with the fourth match between Soren and Zen Shidu. Soren's entry into the arena is met with chants against him from the crowd. Unfazed, he calmly smokes a cigarette, while his opponent, Zen Shidu, is nowhere to be found. Despite the repeated announcements of Zen's name, he fails to appear, leading to the host declaring Soren the winner. However, a participant defeated by Soren's dirty trick in the first round enters the arena, challenging him. The guards swiftly intervene, pinning the challenger down, and Soren leaves casually. Rojai and Wai, 2 elders interested in Soren's Kid-Agent style, closely observe him. Rojai believes that Soren does not yet belong to Tenshifu. Meanwhile, Rukikin and her granddaughter Ruki gather outsiders from their family. Yuki, who lost to Koketsu, reveals a strange realization during their match. She discerned the flavor of Chinchu and Kakoncha, indicating that Koketsu had killed Zensei, and other outsiders, absorbing their Kai. Yuki explains that Chinchu can lend his Kai to others, turning them into mad serial killers who must return a portion of the Kai to Chinchu. Koketsu's plans are further revealed when Yoku Gadoku of the 100 Masks, previously posing as Seraku, confronts Koketsu. Yoku warns Koketsu about the transformed outsiders mingling among the public, emphasizing the need to follow orders. Soren, searching for Hu, is approached by an assistant of Rojai, a new AI, who leads him to the Elder's cabin. Hu, dealing with a fraudulent antique seller, is interrupted by the president of the Tenj group. As Hu rushes to find Soren, Rojai and Uai ask him to hand over the Kid-Agent style in exchange for something valuable. The Elders order Kaiu to extract the style forcefully. Kaiu, capable of manipulating souls like his deceased sister Ryu, seeks revenge against her killer and Soren. Soren undergoes a lie detector test, revealing his memories and denying any knowledge of the Kid-Agent style. Hu intervenes in a potential fight between Soren and Kaiu, and Soren agrees to the lie detector test. As they are about to have a frank discussion, Jo-san and Jo-yeon arrive to take Soren away. Before leaving, Rojai hints that Soren's grandfather was once an outsider serving Tenshifu before joining the heretics of Zensei. Exiting the cabin, Soren and Hu are joined by Jo-san and Jo-yeon. Meanwhile, Shikatsu Sei and Kuhin engage in a battle, with Sei showcasing his dominance and techniques against Kuhin's fire manipulation. The fight takes a dramatic turn when Sei, toying with Kuhin, eventually retaliates with his unique glass transforming arms, overpowering Kuhin and erasing his flames with water drop techniques. In the midst of the intense battle between Shikatsu Sei and Kuhin, the audience witnesses the power of Sei's Kaiman Dunaja from the Byuku style, erasing Kuhin's flames with speedy water droplets. Chu Ryujioku, watching from the audience, explains to his subordinates that Kuhin's proximity to Sei is working against him due to the nature of the Luopen created by Sei. As the match reaches a critical point, Kuhin, frustrated by his inability to use his full power, starts punching the walls. Sei mocks Kuhin, challenging him further with fire, escalating the intensity of their attacks. The host and security evacuate the audience due to the overwhelming power on display. During the intense battle, Soren is dumbfounded by the realization that he must face such formidable opponents to become Tenchi. Sei emerges victorious after damaging the arena, revealing that he participated in the tournament solely to test his strength. In the aftermath, Sei is interviewed about his motives, but the attention shifts when Soren and Jo-san intervene to prevent Hu from attacking Sei. Another outsider attempts to engage Hu in conversation, offering her a tangerine, only to be confused when she consumes it in seconds. Hu is about to reveal her true age when Soren interrupts, dismissing the outsider, and leaves with Hu. Jo-yeon, watching a match, is joined by Jo-san, Soren, and Hu. In another match, Xiaoshu faces Kume, both exhausted and deciding to use their special techniques. Kume separates his soul from his body, surprising Xiaoshu. Despite Xiaoshu's attempt to counter, Kume's senior soul intervenes, saving him. The senior soul punishes Kume for using the technique without sufficient training, leading to Kume's surrender. The match concludes, and Riku-rin invites Soren and others to follow her to Rinkyuken. Inside the cabin, Jo-san meets Tenchi, Deshinchu, and Rinkyuken. Tenchi greets Jo-san and Jo-yeon, and Soren attempts to persuade Deshinchu to share information about his grandfather. Tenchi observes Hu closely, sensing something unusual. Suddenly, news arrives that one of the apprentices has captured Kokutsu, who was revealed to be an agent of Zensei. Kokutsu had been hunting outsiders at Ryukasen, but the tables turned when Tuyuikuku, the shaman of Hakutausen, and Ryukansei, a sprite possessing Tuyuifuku, intervened. The capture of Kokutsu was part of Rinkyuken and Jo-san's plan to announce Rikyuken's special art as a reward for the tournament, aiming to lure and capture Zensei members. The revelations about Soren's grandfather's connection to Zensei and the 36 rebels weigh heavily on Soren's heart. Rikyuken, deciding it's time to share the truth, confirms that Soren's grandfather, along with other outsiders from famous schools, swore allegiance to Zensei. This group, known as the 36 Rebels, created a secret technique that Rikyuken now uses. Tenchi and Den Shinshu went after Chu Kaigi, Soren's grandfather, as part of the punitive order issued against the rebels. However, they never found him, and Den Shinshu was attacked during the search, resulting in severe injuries. Soren breaks down in tears upon learning the painful history of his grandfather. Den Shinshu tries to console him, emphasizing that regardless of the tournament's outcome, Soren will always be their grandson. The emotional weight of the revelation hangs heavy in the air. Later, as Soren and the others move back to the inn, they encounter Ruki and his company. Ruki, too shy to speak directly, asks Hana to convey their message. However, the moment is interrupted by Niken's inappropriate request, leading to a heated confrontation. Ruki and Hana clarify that they only wanted to study a forbidden seal, and Soren, after calming down, teases them about asking Tenchi instead. In the evening, Ruki invites Soren and others to a full moon night party. All the outsiders join the festivities, with Hana and Ruki guiding Soren to the celebration. Chu Ryujioku, in a conversation with Hana, denies jealousy, but acknowledges the need for more training. At the party, Santu Denji challenges Huhu to a drinking competition. Huhu surprises everyone with a strong drink, and Santu, despite his initial shock, accepts the challenge. Meanwhile, Jo-san and Jo-yeon interrogate Niken about Huhu, leading to shocking revelations about her soul and memories. The party takes a lighter turn as Soren gets drunk and playfully reveals the seal engraved on his private part, bringing a mix of humor and tension to the gathering. Chu Ryujioku's shock and disapproval of Soren's drunken antics add a humorous touch to the aftermath of the party. The morning brings teasing from Jo-yeon and others, making light of Soren's playful revelation. As the next day unfolds, Huhu's battle against Xiaoshu takes center stage. Sei and the three elders, along with other spectators, are present to witness Huhu's skills. Soren, preparing for his own match against Tu Bunryu, decides to employ a cunning strategy and enlists the help of the fatty. Meanwhile, Huhu, in her match, displays intuitive and reaction-based movements reminiscent of Tenchi's divine level, catching the attention of the elders and Ryukyukin. Soren's battle against Tu Bunryu is charged with emotions as he faces a practitioner of Taoman, the same technique that claimed his grandfather's life. Soren goes all out in the fight, not holding a grudge against Tu but driven by the memories of his grandfather's fate. The elders and Zen Shindu observe Soren's tactics and learn from his approach. In the arena of Huhu's match against Xiaoshu, Soren notices her struggle and recalls Niken's warning about Xiaoshu. Huhu, in a surprising turn, activates the 48 ultimate techniques of the Monzetsu Fist, technique called Bukkake. In the electrifying clash between Huhu and Xiaoshu, things got so intense that even Jo-yeon got a taste of Huhu's powerful moves. Jo-san, not one to miss out on the action, started giving Jo-yeon a few educational punches for teaching such a brutal technique. Meanwhile, Ryukyukin found the whole situation absolutely amusing, claiming he had never seen such an interesting girl before. Huhu, armed with her unique Kai balls, rained them down on Xiaoshu, leaving him dented like an empty soda can. The attack, however, didn't deter Huhu, who, according to Ryukyukin, was anything but an ordinary outsider. Jo-yeon, watching from the audience, couldn't help but instruct Huhu to make her bukkake stronger, prompting a confident response from Huhu about countering Xiaoshu's next move. As Xiaoshu pondered if Huhu had seen through his technique, he attacked with his shiki, only to have Huhu expertly dodge and counter. She pushed Xiaoshu hard enough to make him bleed, then executed a slick move, sliding below Xiaoshu's shinki and jumping over his head to put an end to the battle. Even the formidable Shikatsu Sei was impressed by Huhu's unwavering focus. The audience, initially perplexed, witnessed Xiaoshu emitting Kai as his soul shattered from the inside. Instead of intervening, Ryukyukin urged the youngsters to handle the mess. Huhu, not deterred by the chaotic situation, began sucking the fragments of Xiaoshu's shattered soul, earning her the endearing title of a lovable idiot from Ryukyukin. With the situation escalating, Shikatsu Sei intervened, creating a barrier around Huhu. Uya joined the fray, assisting Sei. Uya, displaying incredible skill, gathered the soul fragments Huhu had sucked in and threw them back into Xiaoshu's body, reviving him. As the dust settled, Uya found himself facing a new challenge from a guard who eagerly wanted to test his skills against Shikatsu Sei. The match kicked off, with Uya attacking Sei with lightning speed. Both warriors engaged in an aggressive battle, with Uya, surprisingly, being the first to draw red. It was then revealed that Uya, like Sei, was a Fangshi. Uya, suddenly serious, questioned Sei about ever experiencing defeat. Sei admitted he had never been defeated, except by his own master. This prompted Uya to challenge Sei to an all-out battle, daring him to taste the bitterness of potential defeat. The two clashed fiercely, with Sei using his special technique to see through Uya's eyes, eager to unravel the true potential and secrets of Uya's Kaiman Bunija. The stage was set for an epic showdown between these formidable opponents. In the gripping confrontation between Shikatsu Sei and Uya, the battle reached a climax as Sei, determined to uncover the truth behind Uya's Kaiman Bunija, launched himself at high speed. Uya, displaying remarkable agility, dodged Sei's attacks with equal speed, leaving the younger brother of Sei in tears, pleading for the battle to cease. Sei unleashed his formidable attack, Kansuiden, but Uya expertly dodged and countered, shattering Sei into pieces. Sei, however, seemed unfazed and questioned Uya about the nature of his attack. To Sei's surprise, Uya merely displayed Sei's own red on his hand, revealing that he had blocked pressure points in Sei's chest. Uya urged Sei to surrender, and in a moment of despair, Sei bowed down. Even Sei's Kaiman Kenzu Shinpu couldn't unveil the secrets of Uya's Kaiman Bunija. In a last-ditch effort, Sei unleashed his final technique to divine the secret art of Uya, but it backfired, leaving Sei spitting red. However, Uya wasn't finished. He directed Sei's attention to his Luopan, revealing that it wasn't an ordinary one. Uya explained that he had total control over his Luopan, determining everything from direction and time to good and bad luck. Sei, accustomed to the logic of time-bound Luopans, was astounded. Uya clarified that time is a measure of changes in things, and by controlling time, one can manipulate everything. The gravity within Uya's Luopen was different, and he could even manipulate it. Sei, coming to terms with his defeat, acknowledged the illogical but potent nature of Uya's abilities. Rinkyuken, witnessing Sei's defeat, pondered the mysteries surrounding Uya. The Tenchi informed Rinkyuken that Uya's Kaimen was the Ku Kaimen, one of the 8 secret arts. The focus then shifted to the next match between Fu Seren and Sin. Sin's father, a recent addition to the 10 elders, desired Sin's victory to earn respect. Sin, in a bold move, broke Seren's phone, leading to a comical scolding from Seren about contacting his worried mother. Sin's father lent his phone, and Seren, in an unexpected turn, called his mother, who insisted on talking to Sin after learning her son's opponent was a girl. The match ensued, with Sin impressively holding her own against Jo Sarian. Soren, observing the match, asked Huhu to handle Uya, receiving a response as she tailed him. Uya, meanwhile, found himself on the run from girls seeking revenge for making Sei bleed. Eventually, Uya sought refuge in the night, deciding to rest on a tree after the girls gave up the chase. Huhu managed to successfully tie up Uya and began digging a hole in the ground with the intention of burying him. As she worked, Huhu poured water into the hole, creating mud that she believed would stick to Uya's body and prevent him from using his mysterious techniques. She assured Uya that her intention was merely to stop him from entering the match, not to cause harm. However, Uya, not one to be outdone, utilized the Luopen of Ku Kaimen and launched an attack on Huhu. To his bewilderment, the attack had zero effect on her. In a surprising twist, Uya jumped into the ground, reappeared below Huhu, and threw her into the hole meant for him. Using his Ku Kaimen, Uya buried Huhu up to her neck, bidding her farewell. Undeterred, Huhu unleashed her lightning Reihu, breaking through the ground and freeing herself. Armed with her shovel, she confronted Uya, who remained confused about why his powerful attacks had failed against her. Huhu, determined, pursued Uya as he started running away. Meanwhile, Soren, waiting for Huhu, encountered Shinton, who informed him about Sin's injuries from her battle with Jo Sarian. Shinton, using his skills, had expedited Sin's recovery. Soren decided to accompany Shinton, and their plans took an unexpected turn when they witnessed Tenchi Gi running with Den Shinku in a wheelchair. Den Shinku protested his innocence, claiming he had nothing to do with the matter. Rinkyuken appeared behind them, threatening to break the old Tenchi's skinny neck. Shinton explained the backstory, revealing that Chu Ryujioku, a student of the current Tenchi, had been in a fierce battle with Rinkyuken's granddaughter. Riku had urged Chu Ryujioku not to hold back on his strength, leading to the current predicament. In the aftermath of Chu Ryujioku's intense match with Riku, which ended with Riku being taken away on a stretcher, Rinkyuken was furious at both Chu Ryujioku and Tenchi for the condition of his granddaughter. The consequences extended to Tenchi, who would also face repercussions for mismanaging his apprentice. As Soren and Shinton arrived at the hospital to check on Sin and Seren, Shinton's popularity soared after his impressive match with Yuifuku, culminating in him absorbing the spirit of Ryu Kansei. Meanwhile, Jo Sarian, lying on the bed beside Sin, bragged to his mother that he didn't actually lose but let his opponent win because she seemed on the verge of tears. This revelation shocked Shinton, Sin, and others. Sin's threat compelled Jo Sarian to apologize for his deceptive behavior. Chairman inquired whether Soren was ready to face Uya, the formidable opponent who had defeated Shikatsu Sei. The next day, Gi Tenchi appeared with a swollen face, claiming he was experimenting with a new ultimate technique and made a mistake. As the winner was about to be declared, Uya surprised everyone by running towards the arena with Huhu trailing behind him wielding a shovel. Uya used a blinding technique, causing Huhu to retreat immediately. Uya then turned his attention to Soren, wearing a menacing expression for sending Huhu after him. Despite the tension, Uya proposed an unconventional challenge, an eating contest. Food was brought into the arena, and Uya dove into the meal with gusto. While devouring his food, Soren questioned Uya about his reason for participating. Uya took the opportunity to impart some wisdom, explaining that a Fangxi's fate is determined by the impact of outcomes on the world. Finally, Uya revealed the real reasons for his participation in the Raiten Teishu. First, he wanted to prevent damage to the honor of the Tenchi and Tenchifu. Second, he aimed to offer Soren a choice to give up on finding the truth. Uya believed that Soren's insatiable quest would never be satisfied. He emphasized that Soren's fate was remarkably heavy, and his decision would have a profound impact on many. Having finished his meal, Uya stood up and asked Soren if he had made a decision for himself. The eating contest between Soren and Uya reached its climax as Soren stuffed the last bite into his belly. However, Uya, with a sudden and unexpected kick, knocked Soren to the ground. Both contestants found themselves lying on the arena, gazing at the sky. In a surprising turn of events, Uya declared Soren the winner and decided to exit the arena. The focus then shifted to the next match between Sin and Huhu, generating curiosity among the audience due to the exceptional abilities of both contestants. Huhu entered the arena, and Sin eagerly awaited the long-anticipated face-off. Huhu, in a sudden move, rushed towards Sin and began scrutinizing her. She inquired whether the winner of this match would face Soren in the next round, a question Soren affirmed. Unexpectedly, Hu decided to forfeit the match, revealing that her sole purpose in participating in the Raiten Teishu was to eliminate potential threats to Soren, and she did not consider Scene to be such a threat. This decision angered Scene, and she was about to attack Hu when Chairman intervened, urging Scene to forfeit due to her previous injuries. In a diplomatic manner, asked Scene to apologize to Hu and admit defeat. However, Joe Sarian intervened out of nowhere, attacking Hu. Despite Chairman's attempt to stop Joe Sarian, he arrogantly insisted on his way, only to shiver in fear when he heard Scene behind him. Scene swiftly knocked down Joe Sarian and exited the arena, gripping Joe Sarian by the collar. Soren, having reached this far with just one match, awaited the unfolding events. Chairman received critical information about Shinton's condition. Shinton had suffered severe injuries during his match with Uai's great-grandson, Uhai. As Chairman entered the cabin where Shinton rested, he found Uai present. Chairman requested Scene to leave the room and then questioned Elder Uai about the reasons behind Shinton's critical condition. The match between Uhai and Shinton had been brutal, with Uhai dominating from the start. Uhai had mastered the technique of spirit summoning and attempted to snatch the spirits of Ryu Kansei. Shinton, unwilling to give up, endured the brutality. Shinton allowed Ryu Kansei's spirit to escape, enraging Uhai, who brutally beat Shinton. Uhai even snatched the spirit of his grandfather, devouring it. However, Shin intervened, tackling Uhai and putting a stop to his actions. Shinton then dispersed and released the soul of his grandfather, revealing that the spirit had protected him since his childhood. Shinton's intervention saved the soul of his grandfather, snatching Uihai's prey and provoking the latter's fury. Uihai launched a wild attack on Shinton, prompting the host to step in and prevent Shinton from being harmed. However, Uihai disrespected the host, leading to a challenge. Recognizing the potential of the host, Uihai decided to leave after some trash talking, and the host announced Uihai as the winner. Josan's revelation to Soren about Uihai's ability to use Kurei Kenshu, a secret technique of the family, left Soren confused. Hu sensed an eavesdropper, prompting her to attack someone on a nearby tree. Joyan warned Soren to be cautious, hinting at potential threats. Chairman also questioned Uai about an Oi family member using Kurei Kenshu. Uai explained that they learned the technique from his grandfather, who defended the family during the Kushin War. Uai's father spared Tenyu, the grandfather of Chairman, in exchange for Kurei Kenshu. Chairman expressed gratitude to Uai's father for saving the family and pledged to work under Uai's guidance. In a surprising turn of events, two old masters appeared in front of Santu, claiming to be friends of Gi Tenchi. Hana instructed Santu to escort the foreigners to Tenchi's cabin. The semi-finals commenced with Soren facing Hu and Chu Ryujioku against Uihai. However, Soren and Hu's staged performance enraged the audience and the host. The host, expressing anger, declared that Tenchifu was not concerned with what happened after the match, encouraging the audience to do as they pleased. The infuriated audience attacked Soren and Hu, with even Joyan finding it hard to believe that Soren had made it to the finals. Tenchi introduced his friend, the headmaster of Flamel Academy named Isaac Tamber from England, and his brilliant student, a teacher at Victor Academy. They stopped by to visit Tenchi after hearing about the Raiten Tenshu. Meanwhile, Uihai faced a devastating defeat against Chu Ryujioku, revealing a darker side to his character. Natsuka and Chinchu were also present in disguise, observing the unfolding events within the arena. Soren and Hu sought refuge on the top of a mountain to escape the furious mob of outsiders. Hu expressed her desire for Soren to win the next match against Chu Ryujioku and become the Tenchi. While Soren smoked a cigarette, he asked Hu about her past. This triggered contemplation in Hu, who had no place she could call home or return to. The conversation delved into the complexities of identity and belonging. Scene, fueled by the desire to avenge Shinton, was dissuaded by Chairman, who insisted on her resting. As she exited the cabin, she took Joe Sarian with her. Meanwhile, the outsiders who lost in the tournament were returning to their homes. Simultaneously, an agency was investigating Hu's past under the orders of a mysterious lady. Uya apologized to his master for revealing Ku Kaiman. He encountered Shikatsu Sei, who was on his way to the airport. Before leaving, Sei shared insights about Soren's decision and the words Uya had spoken during their match. Uya, initially dismissive, eventually gave a gentle smile as Sei departed. Uya then bowed down, expressing gratitude to his master, grandmaster, and family. The next day, Gi Tenchi had breakfast while discussing Chu Ryujioku's upcoming match with Soren. Tenchi straightforwardly advised Chu Ryujioku to defeat Soren decisively. The other disciples of Tenchi gathered, warning Chu Ryujioku of regret if he were to lose to Soren. They believed that if Soren claimed Tenchi's seat, it would be the end for Tenchifu. The elders, too, had gathered for the final match. Chu Ryujioku entered the arena, finding Soren already meditating on the ground. Both opponents activated their Kinkaju, and the battle began. Despite Soren's Kinkaju being inferior, he demonstrated remarkable skill by focusing it effectively. The audience was astonished at Soren's growth. Chu Ryujioku, impressed, challenged Soren with Reihu. The clash revealed Soren's true potential, overpowering Chu Ryujioku's Ingorai. Tenchi explained to Den Shinku the origin of Reihu as the Five Thunders, a type of Kai divided in a born outsider. Soren's Reihu forced Chu Ryujioku to reveal the true form of his Ingorai. Chu Ryujioku unleashed his Ingorai, turning the arena into a sea of mud like Ingori. Soren struggled to defend against the swift attacks, and Chu Ryujioku explained the poisonous nature of his Ingori, capable of breaking bones and tainting hearts. Before the final match, Soren arrived at the arena early in the morning, overwhelmed by mixed emotions and shaking hands. Realizing he had to use everything he had hidden until now, he decided to meditate and free himself from worries. Soren admired Hu's focused approach, recognizing the effectiveness of concentrating on one thing at a time. Using the Yaobarai, Soren healed the wound inflicted by Chu Ryujioku's Ingorai on his shoulder. Despite being fundamentally weaker, Soren focused on his strength and progress. He activated Jinrai, a technique he developed but hadn't mastered, limiting its use to 5 minutes. Charging up Jinrai, Soren landed a blow on Chu Ryujioku, who covered Soren with Ingorai to suffocate him. In a moment of childhood recollection with his grandfather, Soren discovered something profound. Chu Ryujioku, bleeding after Soren's blow, absorbed back his Ingorai. Chu Ryujioku admitted losing his purity and apologized for his jealousy. Soren, rejecting the apology, urged him to cheat more, and they continued their battle. Their movements were undetected by common eyes, and both unleashed their Reihu. Chu Ryujioku's Reihu froze Soren's hands, while Soren's Yaobarai burned within Chu Ryujioku. The audience was shocked to see Soren, the shameless cheater, matching the tournament favorite. Chairman explained Soren's true nature to his son, who had hidden his identity for a decade, fooling even the express delivery service. Soren realized their techniques canceled each other, making the battle depend on endurance. Approaching his limits, Soren launched his final attack, asking Chu Ryujioku to let him strike first. Chu Ryujioku agreed, but Soren's unique attack could be controlled from a distance. Chu Ryujioku attempted to deflect the attack, but Soren's technique, with its ability to follow its prey, added a new dimension to the intense battle. Chu Ryujioku, though fallen on the ground, praised Soren for his talent and mastery over Yaobarai. The audience cheered for Chu Ryujioku, who admitted Soren's capability to claim the seat of Tenchi. However, Soren couldn't use Jinrai due to a lack of Kai. As Chu Ryujioku charged up to attack Soren, panic struck Hu. Jo-yeon calmed her, pointing out the arena where Chu Ryujioku had fallen and began feeling numbness all over his body. The question lingered if it was due to Soren's Yaobarai or his own Ingorai. Chu Ryujioku surrendered, and Soren was declared the victor of Reiten Tenchiu. Meanwhile, Hana and Riku kept a watch on Ryukasen, with Riku losing her bet and her monthly budget due to Soren's victory. Gi Tenchi's friend had left for home. Before Soren's match with the Talman user, Tenchi was concerned about Soren facing Shikatsu-sei next. Uya sought permission to enter Tenchi's cabin, expressing his intention to eliminate Shikatsu-sei to save Tenchifu's name. Initially hesitant, Tenchi questioned Uya's confidence in defeating Shikatsu-sei. Uya decided to prove his strength by attacking Tenchi, who realized that Uya had more than one master. Acknowledging Uya's strength, Tenchi asked him to rest and prepare for the upcoming fight against Shikatsu-sei. In his cabin, Tenchi reminisced about Kaigi and how, if Kaigi hadn't left, Tenchi's seat would have belonged to him. Inside the cabin, Tenchi and Soren engage in a serious conversation. Tenchi acknowledges Soren's refusal of the secret technique Tsuyutenroku and respects Soren's decision due to the potential problems that may arise from being the user of the second secret art. However, Tenchi, being a clever strategist, instructs Rinkyuken to present Tsuyutenroku to the runner-up, Chu Ryujioku. The next day, Soren is officially presented with the title of Reiten Tenchiu, but he declines to receive the secret technique. Tenchi, always thinking ahead, ensures that the technique is given to someone else, in this case, the runner-up Chu Ryujioku. At night, Soren and the others are waiting outside the temple when Jo-yeon and Jo-san suddenly receive a call and go to the back. Tenchi requests Soren to follow him inside the cabin alone, indicating that an important discussion or revelation is about to take place. Gi Tenchi, with an air of celestial authority, commands Soren to tread the hallowed grounds of the temple. Yet, amidst this divine procession, Hu, ever the loyal companion, yearns to join the journey. Tenchi, in a stroke of divine decree, denies Hu's entry, relegating her to the realm outside. As the duo enters the temple, the stage is set for revelations. Meanwhile, chaos ensues in the realm beyond. The Zensei outsiders launch an assault on disciples and Ryukasen practitioners. Ryujioku, wandering through the jungle in solitude, falls victim to a stealthy ambush by a Zhu Shazhang user. The mysterious assailant retreats into the shadows, only to engage Ryujioku in conversation from the concealment of the foliage. A dialogue unfolds, revealing the purpose behind Ryujioku's seclusion and the outsiders' pursuit of a secret art. Simultaneously, Soren, inside the sacred confines, seeks answers from Tenchi regarding the truth of the Kashin War. However, Tenchi, with a mischievous glint, redirects the conversation, posing a whimsical query to Soren, who, he asks, is best suited for the title of Tenchi, the most popular, the strongest, or the most cunning. Tenchi, the arbiter of his own query, declares the chosen one, an answer that bathes the room in a golden glow. Back in the tumult outside, N2 of Zensei, a formidable sorcerer, makes his appearance. Desiring the coveted secret art, he bargains with Ryujioku. A Zenchi outsider attempts an ill-fated attack on Ryujioku, meeting swift and decisive destruction. Ryujioku, empowered by the Kinkaju, faces an unexpected challenge as an invisible force thwarts his assaults. Just in the nick of time, Rinkyuken, accompanied by reinforcements, intervenes to rescue Ryujioku. The Zenchi outsiders, sensing defeat, scatter in retreat. Meanwhile, Huhu, stationed outside the temple, witnesses Soren bolting towards the woods, leaving her perplexed. In a parallel confrontation, Santu finds himself targeted by a Zensei outsider wielding a pennant. The sinister touch of the pennant leaves Santu's arm numb and darkened. Kumo, the masked disciple of Rinkyuken, comes to Santu's aid, revealing himself as a transmuter. The banter between Santu and the Zensei outsider unveils the peculiar nature of his weapon, polished with oil extracted from corpses. As the plot thickens, N2, the enigmatic enchanter of Zensei, blocks Ryujioku's Suizurai with his enchanted weapon, Chifunju. Rinkyuken steps up to the challenge, forcing N2 to reveal his skills with two more enchanted weapons, Hakyukaju and Sihu Haoju. The clash between Ryujioku and N2 reaches a critical point, with the former unwittingly falling into a trap. However, Rinkyuken, with a secret art of his own, intervenes to save Ryujioku from imminent defeat. Rinkyuken, seizing the moment with the prowess of Goriki Shifu, intervenes just in time to shield Ryujioku from N2's enchanted onslaught. Surprised by the evident improvement in N2's skills, Rinkyuken issues a stern order for Ryujioku to stand back, taking the reins of the battle upon himself. Employing the Shuitsu-style's Gorai Fuju, Rinkyuken launches his initial assault on N2's Chufunju barrier. Recognizing the key to breaking enchanted weapons lies in overwhelming strength, Rinkyuken effortlessly shatters the Chufunju orb with his mighty strike. N2, quick to mock Rinkyuken for not immediately resorting to his primary secret art, inadvertently sparks Rinkyuken's fury. Fueled by indignation, Rinkyuken redirects his Kai flow, unveiling the formidable Sanishimon's secret art. N2, exhilarated by this unexpected display, finds himself dominated by Rinkyuken's overwhelming prowess. The attack not only breaks the Chufunju orb but leaves N2 in awe. He commends Ryujioku as a fortunate witness to the rare spectacle of enchanted weapons and Kyokusei Sanju, Rinkyuken's extraordinary technique. In the midst of N2's explanation, Rinkyuken seizes the opportunity, delivering a mid-air kick and ensnaring N2 with his Sanishiman spells. However, N2, cunning as ever, commands Kantan to assault Ryujioku with a water gun. The seemingly innocuous water bullets penetrate Ryujioku's Suzurai, posing a threat. Rinkyuken, quick on his feet, saves Ryujioku from the aquatic onslaught. N2 then instructs Kantan to use a hammer, breaking free from the spells. Realizing the dire situation, Rinkyuken, while expressing faith in Ryujioku's abilities, acknowledges the inherent disadvantage against enchanters for someone inexperienced like him. He affirms that without his intervention, Ryujioku might have met his end. Rinkyuken discerns the true enchanted weapon, realizing that it's not the beads but Kantan himself. N2's cunning plan unfolds as he orders Kantan to release rabbits, two pairs of rabbit slippers. N2 and Kantan, along with Rinkyuken and Ryujioku, pursue the fleeting figures, revealing that it was all a trap set by N2 to ensnare Rinkyuken. On a different front, Huhu tails Soren, only to confront an ambush by Zensei's outsiders. However, with effortless skill, she dispatches them per Zhou Yan's orders. Spotting the fake Soren, Huhu prepares to return to the temple when another Zensei outsider, Yokyugadoku, reveals his true identity. Seeing through his Kai, Huhu confronts him, only to be attacked and injured in the process. As N2 and Kantan come face to face with Rinkyuken and Ryujioku, a momentary stillness settles, each party sizing up the other in anticipation of the clash to come. Meanwhile, chaos unfolds elsewhere as Zenchi outsiders launch attacks on Ryukasen practitioners. The express delivery outsiders arrive in the nick of time, a timely intervention to quell the rampage and aid Tenshifu. In the midst of this unfolding drama, Josan urgently attempts to contact Huhu, only to find her elusive. Josan, outside the temple, searches for Huhu, but she remains elusive. Concerned about the situation, Josan instructs Tenchi's disciples to inform their divine leader. However, they are aware that Tenchi is already cognizant of the unfolding events. Back inside the temple, Tenchi persists in his efforts to impart the ways of Tenchi to Soren. However, the process encounters hurdles, failing for the third time. Undeterred, Tenchi attempts to elucidate that the rules of Tenchi are not stringent. One can navigate them as long as they tread the right path. Seizing a moment to engage with Tenchi beyond the complexities of the Kashin War, Soren expresses a burning question. As chaos ensues outside the temple, Josan, determined to confront the situation within, attempts to force his way into the place where Tenchi is imparting the ways of Tenchi to Soren. However, his intentions are abruptly interrupted when Soren comes flying out of the temple. Tenchi, visibly irate, chastises Soren for his behavior, likening him to his grandfather and deeming him exasperating. Soren, apologetic, assures Tenchi that he had no intention of provoking him. Tenchi descends to the ground, expressing concern that Soren's actions may tarnish the reputation of Reiten Teishu, which once enlivened outsider society. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Tenchi disappears, swiftly heading towards the Zensei outsiders. Engaging in battle for the first time in over a century, Tenchi unleashes the might of his Kinkaju, stunning his disciples who witness this extraordinary display. The Zensei outsiders prove to be no match for Tenchi's prowess. Some attempt to attack him out of excitement, while others retreat in fear. Tenchi, loosening up, decides to enter the city, leaving a lasting impression on those who witness the might of his Kinkaju. Meanwhile, Ryukyukin continues to give N2 and Kantan a hard time. N2, feeling the pressure, suggests that Ryukyukin should divert his attention to other Zensei outsiders swarming Ryukasan. Ryukyukin intends to do so, but not before settling the score with N2 and Kantan. N2, provoking Ryukyukin with words, earns the ire of the Riku family. Ryukyukin, in a fit of rage, delivers a powerful punch that even Kantan struggles to block. Ryujioku, attempting to calm Ryukyukin, inadvertently provokes him further by calling him an old fart. In an attempt to calm Ryukyukin down, Ryukyukin orders Ryujioku to protect specific techniques. However, their confrontation is interrupted by another Zensei sorcerer, shocking Ryukyukin. The sorcerer takes advantage of the distraction, attacking Ryukyukin when his guard is down. Ryukyukin orders Ryujioku to refrain from engaging, acknowledging the vast difference in skill levels. Suddenly, Natsuka appears, punching Ryujioku and taking him away. Ryukyukin, succumbing to his monstrous intent, abandons reason, plunging himself into madness. As Natsuka tries to engage with Ryujioku, Tenchi, standing on a tree, coughs to halt the unfolding events. In the midst of romantic tension between Ryujioku and Natsuka, enter Tenchi, the ultimate romance ruiner. Picture this: Tenchi strolls in with the finesse of a rom-com villain, interrupting the delicate moment. Calmly, he turns to Ryujioku and pops the big question, "Is this your girlfriend?" The drama unfolds as Natsuka, the would-be enchantress, tries to cast her love spell on Tenchi, only to discover that Tenchi's charm resistance is maxed out. Talk about a one-sided magical duel. With a wave of his celestial hand, Tenchi banishes Natsuka, who bows in defeat. Tenchi then multitasks like a pro, ordering Ryujioku to duty while personally guiding Natsuka back on the path of righteousness. Who knew being a celestial being came with relationship counseling skills? Meanwhile, in the Zensei camp, our sorcerer friends are facing a berserker named Rinkyukin. N2, ever the problem solver, asks if Kure can use his artsy powers to change Rinkyukin's emotions. Unfortunately, the emotional baggage is too heavy, and our heroes are stuck in a waiting game. Cue Tenchi's entrance, and suddenly everyone's attention perks up. Tenchi, the ultimate party crasher, starts mocking Rinkyukin's sorry state, offering to take commemorative pictures. Rinkyukin takes the bait and attacks, only to find himself tied to a tree by Tenchi's celestial shoelaces. Talk about a codec moment. Tenchi warns the Zensei sorcerers to back off or face divine consequences. N2 tries to defy Tenchi, and our celestial photographer crushes his enchanted weapon with 2 fingers. Lesson learned: don't mess with Tenchi's photo shoot. Josan and Soren, on a mission to find Huhu, decide to split up. Meanwhile, Tenchi and Rinkyukin engage in a fierce battle of insults and blows. Tenchi, ever the showman, calmly defends himself while snapping pictures, criticizing Rinkyukin's taste in fighting styles. It's like a martial arts critique session. As the battle reaches its climax, red is spilled, alliances are tested, and Soren faces the moral dilemma of taking a life. Meanwhile, Riku Rinron is in dire straits, outnumbered and injured. Hana, the damsel in distress, screams for help. But Riku, with a determined gaze, promises to save her even if it means facing the ultimate anime tragedy, his own demise. Soren, caught in the crossfire of emotions and conflicting choices, hesitates as Riku confronts him about not saving Hana. However, our conflicted hero manages to muster the courage to jump into action, leaping to Riku and Hana's aid. Riku, fueled by fear and frustration, berates Soren for not prioritizing Hana's safety. In a surprising turn of events, Soren, perched on a tree, gives the Zensei outsiders a menu of choices. They can fight him, leave without a fuss, take Hana and exit, or commit the unthinkable, take Hana's life. Riku, desperate to protect Hana, physically reacts to Soren's seemingly heartless options. The tension peaks as Riku tugs on Soren's shirt, angered by the prospect of sacrificing Hana. The Zensei outsiders, faced with Soren's unconventional ultimatum, opt to take Hana and depart. However, as they try to leave, Soren's white Nagamushi strikes the big guy, proving Soren's marksmanship skills. Hana, marked by Soren, becomes a deadly weapon, and the Zensei leader, acknowledging defeat, agrees to Soren's terms. Soren, in a twist of fate, saves Hana and Riku, demonstrating his evolving commitment to protect his friends. Reflecting on the ordeal, Soren contemplates a necessary change in his nature to safeguard those he cares about. Riku expresses gratitude to Soren for his unexpected rescue, and, heeding Soren's advice, they leave the perilous scene. Meanwhile, Huhu engages in a fierce battle with Baron, a professional fighter with a knack for disappearing in the forest. The old outsider of Zensei advises Huhu about Baron's advantage. Despite Baron's interest in Huhu, her mysterious nature captivates him. Huhu's remarkable healing abilities astonish Baron, but he manages to land a harsh blow, only to witness Hu rise again like a resilient cockroach. Baron, contemplating his past as a murderer, decides to withdraw, intrigued by Hu's uniqueness, and Tu and others successfully escape, while Ryukyukin, now in his right mind, weeps over the consequences of his actions against Tenchi. Tenchi, ever the mocker, teases Ryukyukin for thinking too highly of himself. As the dust settles, Hu receives instructions to meet someone outside the temple of Ryukasen. The battle concludes, and healing begins for the wounded. Jo-san informs Soren about the situation, and their attention is drawn to the cries of Riku mourning the injuries of her friends Santu and Xiaoshu. Kumo takes a moment to recount the intense battle with Zensei's mourner to Ryukyukin and the others. During the fight, the mourner unexpectedly burst into tears, unleashing an emotional onslaught on Kumo. Xiaoshu valiantly stepped in to rescue Kumo and proceeded to enlighten him about the mourner's unique technique. Contrary to common belief, the mourner's tears weren't a sign of fear, rather, they served to lure Kumo's soul into a vulnerable state. Xiaoshu detailed how this affected Kumo's behavior, making him unusually vocal and enraged during the confrontation. The mourner's influence even led to Santu losing control. In a strategic move, Kumo and Xiaoshu decided to join forces against the mourner, overpowering him. However, the situation took a dark turn when Santu appeared on the scene, slashing off Xiaoshu's arm and attacking Kumo. Though Kumo hesitated to retaliate against Santu, he had no choice but to defend himself, deploying his vibrating blades. In a heartbreaking decision, Kumo let the mourner escape, prioritizing the lives of Santu and Xiaoshu over pursuit. Elsewhere, Jo-yan finds himself in a conversation with Raku, who commends the express delivery team for capturing numerous Zensei members, despite the significant damage sustained. Raku, responsible for security this time, assures Jo-yan that he'll handle the aftermath. However, Raku says that the Ryu of Kanan district has been killed, and HQ hasn't made a public announcement yet. It appears the killer was one of Ryu's part-timers, raising concerns about the possible discontinuation of the express delivery company's part-time program. Jo-sen takes on the responsibility of healing Santu and Xiaoshu. Suddenly, Tenchi arrives on the scene and beckons Soren to follow him. Tenchi poses a profound question to Soren about whether he wants to become like Tenchi or not. Though Soren seeks an answer to his own question, he's rendered speechless when Tenchi reveals that he already knows Soren's response, declaring Soren will always be his master. Meanwhile, hidden in a warehouse, the Zensei master arrives to inquire about the outcome of the battle at Ryukasen. The conversation between Tenchi and Soren is interrupted when Izan sends a Zensei outsider disguised as a monk hurtling toward them. Tenchi, enraged, clarifies that he had ordered the outsider to protect Den Shinchu. Izan assures Tenchi that Den Shinchu will be fine, triggering Tenchi's fury. Tenchi rushes to Den Shinchu's cabin, only to find the lifeless body of Den Shinchu. The master of Zensei is revealed to be none other than Hain, one of Den Shinchu's servants, introducing himself as the acting master of Zensei Kyoyuke. The revelation that Hain, the trusted servant of Den Shinchu for the past 3 years, is the master of Zensei Kyoke shocks Den Shinchu. Kyoke seeks one thing from Den Shinchu, the truth behind the Kushin War. He explains that his investigation led him to the central figure of the war, Chu Kaigi. However, when Zensei located Chu Kaigi, he was already deceased. Despite attempting to extract information from Shinchu and Tenchi, Kyoke was met with silence. Hain had been searching for an opportunity to speak privately with Shinchu, armed with knowledge about the events surrounding Chu Kaigi. He reveals that when Tenchi, Ji, and Shinchu set out to bring back Chu Kaigi, they took different routes down the mountain. However, they couldn't find Kaigi, and Shinchu was attacked on his return, resulting in his current state. Shinchu expresses surprise at Hain's detailed knowledge, and Kyoke clarifies that the sneak attack on Ryukasen was a ruse to uncover the truth about the Kushin War. Kyoke orchestrated the plan, but if he's wrong, he risks being killed by the others. Shinchu can neither confirm nor deny Kyoke's assumptions, still haunted by his failure to find Kaigi. Kyoke, determined to extract the truth, calls upon Ryu, a Maken user with the ability to manipulate souls and extract memories. While caring for Shinchu, Kyoke notices his reluctance to sleep. Tenchi informs him that Shinchu fears sleep because of the trauma inflicted when attackers severed his limbs and arms on his way back to Ryukasen after failing to find Chu Kaigi. Recognizing that Shinchu is keeping secrets, Kyoke orders Ryu to extract the memories. However, Shinchu proves exceptionally strong-willed, making it challenging for Ryu to find a particular memory quickly. Hain stands guard at the gate during this process. Eventually, Ryu emerges, informing Hain that he has copied all of Shinchu's memories, concluding their business. But Shinchu calls Hain inside the cabin. Feeling helpless against Zensei, Shinchu acknowledges that he cannot stop them now and asks Hain not to leave him in his current state. In a surprising turn, Shinchu starts provoking Hain, disrespecting Zensei and labeling them as losers and scoundrels. Despite the provocation, Hain decides to take responsibility, and end Shinchu's life, believing it will relieve him of his burdens and regrets. In a moment of clarity, Shinchu reveals that Kaigi instructed him to keep their meeting a secret. After being tortured by attackers, Ji and Shinchu found him. Although Shinchu initially wanted to die due to his inability to use Kung Fu, his master's words inspired him. However, the regret lingered in his heart. Ji had been caring for Shinchu since then. Learning about his sleep talking, Shinchu began training himself not to sleep. Finally, Kaioke closes the eyes of Den Shinchu, putting an end to his restless existence. As Ryu delves into the memories of Den Shinchu, he discovers that Kaioke's assumptions are likely correct. Hain decides to inform the other members of Zensei about Den Shinchu's death, suggesting a 7-day mourning period and urging them to avoid trouble until Shinchu's memories are fully deciphered. The news leaves everyone in shock, including Tenchi, who tries to console Izan, emphasizing that destiny is inevitable. Tenchi goes so far as to throw Izan out of the cabin to help him break out of his shock. Izan and the other disciples mourn loudly as the news of Den Shinchu's death spreads throughout the outsider's world. Uya, expelled from Budausen, faces a difficult situation. Unryu, attempting to intervene, fails to convince the Grandmaster of Budausen to reconsider Uya's expulsion. The Grandmaster orders Unryu to stay out of the matter and dismisses any connection between Budausen and Uya. However, the Grandmaster is informed about the awakening of Grandmaster Ro, shocking him. He tasks Unryu with keeping watch on those trying to sneak into Budausen each night. Uya, feeling uneasy on a train, exits suddenly due to the presence of Zensei heretics. He calls his servant for a ride home, learning that he must now work in his father's company since he is no longer affiliated with Budausen. Meanwhile, Soren is apprehensive as Huhu sharpens her knife. Huhu reveals that Jo-san forbade her from speaking to Soren. Soren shares with Huhu, Jo-san, and Jo-yan that Tenchi didn't disclose information about the Kushin War because Soren didn't want to become Tenchi. He explains that Chu Kaigi misled them, using Jo-shu and Huhu to protect Soren. Jo-yan suggests that Kaigi wasn't lying but created a small deception in his story. Soren realizes that Tenchi's ways might hold the key to understanding the Kushin War, as evidenced by the Reiten Teishu ceremony tying him to Tenchifu. Soren believes that the ways of Tenchi could be a form of suppression, possibly related to the 8 secret arts. He fears that the 8 secret arts might have been created to enforce the ways of Tenchi. Despite the potential challenges, Soren sees an opportunity to uncover the truth of Huhu's past through the connections made during the Reiten Teishu. That concludes the anime recap. As always, if you enjoyed, let me know down below and I'm out.